thanks for coming. The first thing that I want to impress upon you is we have a kind of unique situation. Both my wife and Arlene are both justices of peace. We both work together on every wedding we do, so that how we do things doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best way for you to do it. We're just here to give you ideas and suggestions, and what works for us might not work the best for you. So please don't think that this is black and white and this is what you have to do. We're here to offer up ideas and suggestions. As you can tell, I'm always in the forefront and Arlene sticks to the side. We're going to go over page by page, and after every page, then if anyone has any questions, we'll answer the questions at that time. Okay, if you turn to the back of the cover page where it says Outline for Justice 101. Record initial contact on information sheet on the website contact form. We just recently, since we retired, did a website which has been a tremendous boost to the business. If you do not have a website, strongly recommend that you have one. Put it together. On there also have a contact form. That way there, the couple's filling out their information instead of trying to give it to you over the phone where you can't tell the difference between a P and a V or a T and a P. You might have their names and everything spelled wrong. If they're doing it, you've got everything all set and down, hopefully spelled correctly and everything. We keep a printout of all the members of the Massachusetts Justice of the Peace aside of our phone. So if we get a call and we cannot do the ceremony, we refer another member to the couple, or we just refer them to go to the MJPA website. So please, part of the things that you're connecting with the website's going to be connected with you. So just make sure that you are part of that. Schedule the consultation, interview date and time, record everything down. So I have everything down on the list. A lot of times you might be doing weddings for 4 Jessicas. And of course they call up and say, "Hi, this is Jessica. I want to talk to you about my wedding." You know, could you narrow it down a little bit more? They don't realize that. Set up and keep a folder of all information. Now what we do is we have a folder up like this. And we'll get that's in here a little bit more. Everything goes into this folder. On the first one, it's the wedding day and date, place, time, bride, groom, phone number, cell number, consultation, date and time, and the email address. Then when we get the consultation typed up, the day was typed up, I call and confirm at least 2 days before to remind them that they have a consultation with us at such and such a time, at such and such a place. We do require a $100 deposit to hold the day for them. They're expecting a commitment from us. We also want a commitment from them. This is a $100 non-refundable deposit. Because a lot of times we'll put the packet together and everything, and usually it takes us maybe a half hour, 45 minutes to put it together, and then no show. So they're the ones that lose out. We get the $100 for the time and everything we put in. So really, I can't stress that enough. Get a deposit before you commit, or as you're committing to do the ceremony. We had down balance due return packet. We have a packet. This is the packet that we give our couples. These are the options that we offer our couples. That's why we have never done 2 ceremonies alike. We give this to the couple, we go over it, we explain everything. We give them the packet to take home for a month. Look it over, go through here. We encourage them to mix and match. Introductions, there might be 10 or 15 different introductions. Take the first paragraph from this one, the second paragraph from that one, the third paragraph. Mix and match. You're a unique couple. You've got something to say, or you want something said that's different from the last couple we did. That's what we want to do. This ceremony is customized to you. We invented the wheel. You pick out the spokes and everything that you want to use. It makes it a lot easier. Sometimes they think this is a little daunting, but it's not really as bad as it seems.
Arthur, would you read a couple of samples from page 2? I'm just curious as to what.
To tell you the truth, there's well over 1,000 hours put it to here,
Okay.
put into this.
I'm not looking to steal, I'm just.
No, but what I'm saying, that's what a lot of couples will say, well, do you have it on your website?
Yeah.
No, because we want to have different ceremonies than you have. You want different ceremonies than I have. If we all have the same ceremony, you know, it defeats the purpose of doing anything. I will read some a little bit later on, okay? I'll go through this. Yes?
That packet that you're giving them with those options?
Yes.
Is that theirs to keep?
No.
It's returned back to you in the month?
Yes, unfortunately, just recently, some very intelligent brides that we had, oh, I didn't think you needed it back, and threw it out.
Oh.
So now we're telling them if we don't get it back, the price of their ceremony goes up considerable. We have on it here, please return to 2 or 3 places in here. You can't afford to give every couple this and not get it back. We meet with them, we give them a month to go over everything, look through it, and then they send back a sheet to us. Okay, I'm going to try to get back a little bit more onto the outline as we're going, because I got a little carried away on the sides. On page 3, this is the contact form that they have to fill out. But again, if they can do it online, much better. Or email them this, have them fill it out, and get it back to you. It's self-explanatory. It's always good to get 2 email addresses if possible, and a home phone or 2 cell phones. Who referred you? That's kind of important, so you can say thank you. If it's a venue and they refer you, it's fantastic just to go back and say thanks very much for the referral. We got it, and we're so pleased to do the wedding here. If they have any children, list down the children's names, because some of the options are including children, presentation of gifts, or blending families or something, so it's always good to have the children's names down there. Any additional information, if they like a little religion in it, or no religion, romantic, if it's with children. Short, again, like I said before, we don't really do short ceremonies. If someone comes up and says, I just want to say I do, I say, we're not the justices of the peace flag. Page number 4. This is the folder that we use. These are copies of the labels that are on the folders. Each couple has the folder and everything goes into it.
And we actually file these by the month of the wedding. So we have all June's weddings together, all May's weddings together. So we know the next wedding coming up is how we file.
Also, another little thing that we came up just recently is up in the corner. We have the venue name, address, phone number, contact person, and time and mileage to get there. If you got stuck on the Mass Pike, you're going to be a half hour late. You're not going to know who, off the top of your head, who to contact or anything. You've got this with you. So that gives you all the information, just a little bit more insurance. Also, it's nice to remember who the wedding coordinator is. I mean, we have some places that's Alex and Alicia, and and it's a little confusing. So if you have it down there, it's going to make your life a lot easier. Page number 5. Are there any questions so far? I know it's a little confusing, but it's all going to come together in the end. This is our information sheet, where the wedding's taking place, the bride and groom, their address, taking place at the public house, at the gazebo, in Page Hall, the date and time, consult date and time when we meet with them. Our consults take about an hour and a half. We list down the bride's parents. They usually say, I'd rather be embarrassed right now with just the 4 of us here than the night of the rehearsal if your parents are separated and divorced and I'm trying to get them together to walk down the aisle. So get that information if they're separated, if they're divorced, if they're deceased. Take down all of that information. Same with the groom. Grandparents, their names, approximately how many guests are coming. That's just more for our information. If there's a theme or a color, what we try to do is match the color of the bridal party. If they're blue, Arlene's in blue, I wear a blue tie. If they're in red, it's red. If they're orange, it's orange. That goes a lot. There's the littlest details that make such a big difference with the bride and groom. I cannot stress enough. The more you do, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get back from it. You can just go on up there and do the ceremony, turn around and walk out. But if you put a lot of the extra details, the caring into it, it comes back tenfold. We list the ushers, the junior ushers, bridesmaids, junior bridesmaids, flower girl, ring bearers. I usually tell them that there's two things that you really can't depend upon. Mother Nature and very young children. They're both going to do what they want to do when they want to do. So if they have a ring bearer that's a year and a half year old, that's up to you. It's your wedding, but don't plan on it going too smoothly. Really? Yeah. Who's giving the bride away? Whether it's the mother and the father, the uncle, the aunt, whoever's giving the bride away. These are a couple of the options of the ceremonies we have, and we just check, the hand ceremony, rose ceremony, tying of the knot, whichever one we check it on. This is just for our information, and any optional readings that they might have. Again, their email, confirm the DJ or the band, who the photographer is. Whenever we get to a venue, we're always there at least a half hour ahead of time. We go up to the DJ and go up to the photographer, introduce ourselves, show them the order of the program so they know what's going on. Usually the photographer would like to know if you're doing a hand ceremony, they'll be over here to get the best shot, or you're doing this, they'll be over there. So they appreciate that little bit of information. As well as the DJ, usually, going over him, you have 3 songs, one for the parents, grandparents, the guys and the girls to walk into, a different one for the bride, and then the recessional going out. So you want to make sure you're on the same page with him and he knows when. And there's a lot, very important, the last thing you're going to say before he starts that recessional music, so he's not going over you. I highly recommend a lavalier mic. It's about the size of a pack of cigarettes, fits right in your shirt pocket, clips right on the black robe. Don't even see it. It's so much easier than holding a microphone up to the front of their face. It's not as awkward, or them having a microphone stand right in front of you. This picks up everything. It's extremely sensitive. I always impress upon the brides and grooms to eat before the ceremony. And I don't mean a 16-ounce prime rib and 3 fingers of Jack Daniels, but have something to eat and drink. It hydrates you. It gives you stamina. The only time we've ever had anyone pass out, both guys and girls, is when they did not eat. So I impress upon them to eat. Another reason I tell them is this lavalier mic is extremely sensitive. So ladies, if your stomachs growl, everybody up here is going to hear it. It kind of scares them and doesn't do anything to the guys. So I say to the guys, anything you do is going to be heard. So kielbasa beans are probably not the best choice for lunch. They remember that. If you kid around a little bit, we found that the bride and grooms and the wedding party remember so much. The next day they're not saying, where do we go, what do we do, what do we say? So kid around a little. I mean, there are, don't do a one, stand-up comic routine. But if you kid around just a little bit, it relaxes everybody. We also have down the $100 deposit, the rehearsals. And as we were saying earlier, every justice of the peace does it differently. We do combine everything all at once, so when the couple calls up and says, how much do you charge? I usually say, that should not be the first question you ask. The first question you should ask is, what do you have to offer? Every justices of the peace is different. It's not like the church where you can just do this and you might a little variation here and there. Justice of the peace are 180 out. You can get someone that's going to open up a book, read a paragraph, insert your names, and 7 seconds later you're married and you're out of there. Then you're going to get a justice of the peace either in the middle or the other end of the spectrum that's going to put 7 or 8 hours into your wedding, and it's going to be really something. That's what you should ask first. What do you have to offer? We combine everything. We combine the hour and a half or 2 hours consultation, the rehearsal, and the wedding for one price. Because otherwise they'll say, well, can we knock off the rehearsal and save some money? That's part of the package deal, because the rehearsal, really, really important. You're married, and then they turn around and say, okay, where do I go? What do I do? That kind of thing. It makes everyone so much more comfortable. Parents, grandparents, everybody, because we ask as many people to come to the rehearsal as possibly can. And we just run through everything from A to Z. We just don't go on over the rehearsal. We run through lining them up, walking in, how they're going to stop, how they're going to start, everything. On page 6. Yep.
Do you do all these things even if the couple has hired an event planner?
If they have an event planner, no. When we usually go to venues, I'll say to them, like, we do a lot of ceremonies here, and at Sukas and Old Sturbridge Village and different things like that. I always go to say, look, this is your house. We'll do everything if you want. If you want to run it, then you run it. I have to say 9 out of 10 say, go ahead, take care of it. You're making their job so much easier. And of course, if you do a good job and you make their job easier, they're going to recommend you. So that's the best way. Don't step on the toes. It's their house. But like I say, we're in a unique situation where Arlene usually stays with the girls. I've got the guys. We've got everything coordinated. So I really don't know how one Justice can do it because I'm spoiled. How can you be in 2 places at once though? The guys are coming in from here and the girls are coming over there. How can you, if you're there by yourself? Okay, page number 6 is the confirmation of the wedding plans. Party A, Party B, the location of the wedding date, time, deposit, balance. This is what we give them. Number 7, here's how we have it broken down for the brides and grooms. This is everything in this book. So what they do is they circle, they read through it, they indicate what they want. If they want part of A, part of B, part of C, part of D, we have them circle A, B, C, and D. And then we ask them to write it out in its entirety. Because some brides will say, I want to change the 17th word from the 4th paragraph, but don't count the first 3 lines. And you kind of like trying to figure out exactly what's going on. If they write it out, then it takes the guesswork out of it for you. You know exactly what they want, and it makes it a lot easier. And they're not writing in the book. You can reuse these books over and over and over and over again. Page 8 is the choices for the wedding ceremony, listing the grandparents, who's going to escort the grandparents in, the parents, who's going to escort his parents in, or her parents in, or their parents in. Confirm the color of the girls' dresses and the color of the tuxes, again, so we can try to match them. List the ushers, list the bridesmaids, the best man, maid of honor, ring bearer and flower girl, if applicable, brides walking in with. We have a lot of brides lately that are walking in with mom and dad, which is kind of nice. So no one's kind of left out, they're all included. We always tell them the more people you have involved in your ceremony, the more memorable and the nicer it's going to be for you and for them. Mark down the rehearsal date and time. Another thing we do is we tell the couples, like a lot of times we'll have 3 or 4, sometimes even 5 weddings on a weekend. Not everyone can have their rehearsal at 7 o'clock on Thursday night. So the fairest way to do this is a first come, first served basis. The first person that gets back to us gets their first choice. If the person gets back the next day and they wanted what the first person has, I'm sorry, we're already booked. We do the best we can to accommodate them. And by the way, never do a rehearsal on a Friday night. Never do a rehearsal on a Friday night. First of all, the venues, oh yeah, you can do a Friday night, and someone's going to call up for a wedding. Of course they're going to take the wedding before they're going to take a rehearsal. Now you show up for a rehearsal and you've got to do it 2 buildings down or in another room or someplace else. Another reason is, chances are you're going to get a call for a wedding on that Friday night. And you're going to turn down a wedding to do a rehearsal. If it has to be on a Friday, try to make it noontime or 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So it's not going to interfere with the weddings going on at the venue, and it won't interfere with you doing a wedding on that Friday night. A list of the readings, and what we do is about 6 weeks before, now I'm skipping around a little bit, about 6 weeks before, I call them, remind them it's time to get their license. And as I believe it was Donna said earlier, or Bev, that, I don't know if a lot of you know this, but it makes a big difference where you get your license from. For instance, Worcester is $50, Expense is $15. And we usually recommend 2 to 3 copies of the license. They can go for $6 or $7 or $10 or $12. So sometimes there's over a $50 difference of where the couple gets their license for a 5-minute ride. I always tell them you can come out to the Dairy Queen, buy dinner, and not spend that $50. You'll be the hero of the day. You know, you save the money. So think about that. They can go any town hall in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The smaller the community, the more reasonable that marriage license is going to be. Yes?
Why would you have them get several copies of the license?
Well, we're going to get into that a little bit further down, because when we give them a sheet of the things that they have to change their name on, which is kind of substantial. And I'll get into that a little bit more. Page 9, we have down what time the girls are arriving and the guys are arriving. The wedding coordinator's copy. A lot of times we'll give this to the wedding coordinator that's there too, because sometimes they have different information, or we might have got it later than them, or they got it later than us, and there have been changes. So just all the information we have, grandparents, who's walking who in, parents, who's walking the bride and groom in, list down the groomsmen, the bridesmaids, who the DJ is, the photographer. This is all information that they filled out on another sheet. And then we list the ceremony and approximately how long the ceremony is, which is nice to let everyone know. The function facility, the bartenders, just so they have an idea of, you know, they're preparing for a half hour, your ceremony's 15 minutes long. They're going to get kind of rushed before they're prepared for it. So it's always good to spread as much information around as you can. We also have on page number 9 too, if you look down in the corner, there's a little thing of abbreviations. So we know who's who and who's what. Bride's daughter, groom's son, groom's grandfather. Just a little bit easier doing it that way. Page number 10, bridal party lineup. We only did like 2 rows because that's where just the immediate family is. We have them put in where they want everyone seated. A lot of times I will recommend, depending upon the venue or everything, sometimes this has like the grandfather and grandmother at the end of the first row. Sometimes the end of the first row could be way down here. So why not have the grandparents sit the first 2 seats in the second row? They're right in front of the ceremony. They can see so much better, hear so much better, instead of being down there and not really being able to see too much. That goes on a wedding by wedding basis, though, depending upon how the venue is and the grandparents and the seating and everything. But it's just something to, you know, it's like a common sense type thing after a while. Then they're listing all the bridesmaids and the groomsmen. And if you notice, the bride and groom, Mary and Joseph, are standing together, smiling, holding each other's hands throughout the whole ceremony. Page number 11. Checklist for the prenup. You can jump in anytime. We ask them, we give this to them to fill out, and we go on over it with them. Their current address and phone number. And we ask them, are they moving with, you know, before the wedding or anything, just to get that down. Apply for the marriage license approximately 4 to 6 weeks before the wedding date. Again, we call them, remind them, because the bride and groom have a lot on their mind. And I'm saying bride and groom only because we deal with mostly brides and grooms. Could be party A, party B. We call them, remind them it's time to go get the license. I also confirm the rehearsal at that time. Arlene emails them, confirm the rehearsal, remind them to get the license. If there's any readings, we'll make copies of the readings and send it to her at that time. Also, we'll send them the order of the ceremony that we put. We sit down, we tell them, we're not dictating to you what your ceremony is going to be. We're going to take all the information you give us, put it together, we're going to put it in the order that we think it flows the best. We're going to email that to you 6 weeks before. You look it over. If you want to change it, it's your wedding. We can't impress upon enough. It is their wedding. Our job is to take as much pressure and stress off of the couple as possible. And that's what we're geared to. We're very detail-oriented to that goal. We just want them to show up and smile. We'll take care of everything else. I remind them that the marriage license is due no later later than the night or the day of the rehearsal. Never, ever, ever perform a ceremony unless you have physical custody of that license. Never fill it out until after you have pronounced them husband and wife. And never, ever, ever give them the license to return to the town clerk. That is in violation of the state law. We've had a lot of town clerks recently that say, oh, tell them to give, you can bring it back Monday morning. Never give it back to the couple. Your signature is on there that you did it. You're responsible. That town clerk is going to know that you had the license, and if the couple doesn't give it back to them, your neck is on the line. So never, never give it back to the couple.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
What, excuse me, what happens if I mail in the marriage certificate and it doesn't get back there? I don't trust the post office. I would prefer to drive it and hand it in person. But if it's too far away and I just mail it, if they don't get it, what happens?
Well, you have several different options. You can send a certified mail, which is roughly maybe around $4 now. I've never had a problem mailing it back. If it's a close town to me, yes, I deliver it myself.
Yeah.
You know, the next day. But I mail it back, but I've never really had a problem. What we do is we record it in the book.
Yeah.
We also, I make a copy of it also, and that's in a loose leaf binder. So if there's any question, I can say, I did it this, because I always do it right away. You have until the 10th day of the next month to complete the license. Don't wait. You've got to do it anyhow. Do it right then and there. Get it out in the mail. It's not your responsibility anymore.
Yeah.
But I've never had a problem mailing it back. But if you're concerned, you could always send it certified mail, so whoever signs for it.
See, that was my biggest concern because I've had issues with the post office when I've sent certified mail for legal reasons and they lost it and they don't care. It's done.
Well, I agree with you. I retired from the post office and I wouldn't mail it. I always tell the couple, do not mail me your license. Bring it to me the night of the rehearsal and drop it off. Never mail it to me.
Yeah.
Because if they mail it to, and you know, we go to the rehearsal and they say, where's your license? Oh, we mailed it to you last week. Well, I never got it, and usually it's too late to go back to the town to get another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes?
When you file the license following the wedding, does it need to be returned to the town that issued it? Or
Yes.
the town in which the...
No, the town that issued it. 99 out of, the only town that I know of is Charlton that doesn't do that, but most towns will give you a self-addressed envelope.
Yeah.
Some even nice towns put a stamp on it, but that's rare. But I mean, they'll give you an envelope to send it back. It goes back to the town where they got the license. And that's another thing to impress upon the couple. That's the only place they can ever get copies of their marriage license. So if they want to get more copies, that's the only place they get it, that town. They might be getting married in Sturbridge, but they get their license in Spencer. They can't go to Sturbridge to get a copy of the license. They have to go to Spencer. Whatever town they apply for it is the only place they can ever get copies of that license. Yes, ma'am.
While you're at it also, make sure that people understand that no matter what the couple asks, after you actually solemnize the marriage, they ask you to tear up the license, you are obligated to send that in to the town hall. You cannot annul marriage by doing it.
If they change their mind 10 minutes after the ceremony, I'm sorry. You complete the license and send it back. And again, the sooner you send the license back, the better off you are, so do it right away. Post office has wedding stamps, so we advise the couples if they don't want flags or egrets or Eisenhowers on their stamps for their invitations. Post office has wedding stamps. The small reply card usually takes about a 49-cent stamp right now. And that's a forever stamp, so if they want to change, if they have 250 people, they can probably save some money by getting that. Usually the invitation itself, that's usually a 70-cent stamp. I don't know if that's a forever stamp or not. They have the two invitations together. What we found, believe it or not, it's not often, but it has happened, is we recommend that the couple goes into the post office, hand them the small reply card, and hand them the invitation. The clerk will put on the appropriate postage on both and hand it back to the couple. Take the invitation and the reply card, put the reply card inside the invitation, and hand it back to the clerk that way again. Now you might look, why would he do that? Because we found, believe it or not, the weight of the two stamps together brings it up a fraction of an ounce over. So when they're expecting to get replies back, they're getting them back with a big red return for additional postage. So then they have to go out and get matching envelopes, double the postage. Either that or their friends are getting postage due 20 cents at the end, at the other end. And if their friends are anything like mine, I'd never live it down having them pay 20 cents to get my wedding invitation. So we just always have the clerk weigh it twice. Another thing, when we're on invitations, it's always a good idea, if the wedding party is outside, let the guests know. Put a little note in there saying, the weather permitting, the ceremony will be held outside. So the guests will dress accordingly. They might say, well, it's kind of cold, we'll be inside, or vice versa, overdress. This way there, it's up to them, just as a courtesy to the guest itself. Mother and father marital status. We've already gone over that before, so if they're married, divorced, or separated, so we know ahead of time. It says, is a kiss okay for mom? I usually have the father walk down the young lady, her arm through him, and if the mother hasn't walked down, I'll ask her, do you want your mother to get up to give you a kiss on the cheek? Just to play it safe. You'd be surprised how many, no, I don't want my mother to give my kiss. My mother and father have never kissed me. Why should they kiss me at my wedding? I'm a huggy, touchy kind of guy. And I cannot imagine someone being 30-something years old and having their parents never give them a kiss, or them never give a kiss. But it does happen. So check with the bride, make sure it's okay. Mom, come on up and give her a kiss. Mother usually comes up and gives her a kiss on the cheek. Father gives her a kiss on this cheek, and when the father gives her a kiss, she slides her hand down into his. So he's holding her hand. Then the groom come on over, go over to his future mother-in-law, give her a hug and a kiss. Future father-in-law, the father-in-law shakes his hand, and I'll say give him words of wisdom. I'll also remind them I have a very sensitive microphone on, so any words of wisdom that they want to give, please use discretion. And then he takes his hand, her hand, so the father is given the bride's hand in marriage, and then the parents go on over and stand, and our bride and groom, or party A, party B, stand here, and we continue with the ceremony. Maid of honor usually comes on up and takes the flowers first. Comes on back. Are the bridesmaids walking alone or with the ushers? We find it so much easier and smoother if the guys walk in by themselves and the girls walk in by themselves. We always have them start off, and they're coming out, either Arlene's with the girl or I'm with the guy. Always start on your left foot. So they start on their left foot, which isn't that important when they're walking in alone, but when they're walking out together, it makes a big difference for the photographers. Because the gentlemen have their arms up like this, they both start, they're both in the same forward motion. Instead of one being up here and the other one being back here, the pictures don't come out anywhere near as clean and crisp as they could be. These little details we picked up from talking to DJs and photographers over the course of the years. So we're just passing them on to you. Let's see. Tuxedo, make sure the tuxedos, make sure that they check them before the morning, the ceremony, or the afternoon. Just recently, we've had 6 weddings almost in a row. The gentleman had a 46-inch pants and a 36-inch waist. Had 2 left shoes. The groom had a dirty shirt. This is not a good way to start off, believe me. So the more you check ahead of time, or tell the couple, make sure you check ahead of time before you leave the tuxedo rental, the better off you're going to be. We have an emergency kit we carry with us. Shoelaces, suspenders, CDs in case some DJ's caught on the mass pike and can't make it. What else do we have in there?
We have candles in case they forgot their memory candle. We have photos. We have tissues, lots of tissues.
Sewing kits.
Yes.
I do carry smelling salts in my case also. I carry a stick of tissues and a stick of smelling salts. I always tell them that, that reinforces have something to eat before you go there. I don't want to have to snap those smelling salts. And I'm getting a little bit off track, but as we're going through in my book, like I say, if we do 3 or 4 weddings a weekend, I'm sorry if I keep on moving back and forth, so you go back and forth. If we do 3 or 4 weddings a weekend, we have books that we put it in. What we do is we put them in the clear folders, the pages in the folders. So all we have to do is take after the rehearsal, we take the pages out, place them down, put the next rehearsal back in the book, and you keep on doing it that way, so it's a little bit easier. So you buy 50 of the clear folders, put the sheets in there, and you're all set. It's less hassle for you. Another very important thing is remember, make sure that people sit down. A lot of people do weddings, all rise, and then they have everyone stand for the whole ceremony. Play it safe. Get the little stickers, put it in there. All rise, maid of honor take the flowers, please be seated. If you're doing a rose ceremony, place the roses in the vase. Any little thing that will help you, just put a little sticker so you can peel it right off and off that plastic sheet every time. Everything's different. We're going over the 3 songs for the wedding for them to sit down with their DJ. If it's cold weather, do the brides have shawls? I usually say, the guys are fine, we're in suit coats. The girls are a little like this. And when they're taking pictures, they'll take pictures of the parents and the grandparents and everything. The girls are usually off to the side freezing. So if they just have shawls or something to put on, just again as a courtesy to the wedding party. Very important we start on time. We have a $25 late fee if they're any later than 15 minutes starting. But between you and I, we have never implemented that. That's just a threat if they have Aunt Susie who's habitually late and they don't want to start the wedding, tell Aunt Susie to be there. We did have a bride keep us waiting 2.5 hours one time. That will never, again, happen to us. Yes?
And what happens with that 2.5-hour wait if you actually have another wedding 2 hours?
Well, as she said,
45
luckily that day I didn't. If I did,
But
I would have
asking,
said,
what do you do?
I would have said, I'll be back. It'll be during your reception, but I'll come back after I do this wedding because I'm not going to be late for a wedding. It's my reputation. I've given my word. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm not going to be late because you're late. I'll come back during the reception and I'll do the ceremony. This particular case wouldn't have worked out. She had only for 4 hours, 10:30 to 2:30. I was there, 10 o'clock, walked in with the groom. 10:30, the guests started arriving. The ceremony was supposed to start at 11. 11:30, no bride. 12, no bride. 12:30, no bride. Apparently she was known for this. About 50 of her guests got up, went and took their gifts and left. So they took their gifts and left. She's paying for 50 people that aren't there. She comes walking and she wanted to make a grand entrance. There was absolutely no reason except she wanted to make a grand entrance. It was at a very nice restaurant. She came in the middle of 5 busloads of elderly for a lunch period. So there is a God. She came up, she took her 20 minutes to get upstairs to where the ceremony's being held. 25 minutes for the ceremony. Now it's 1:30. She has 1 hour left for the guests to eat, cut the cake, do the dance, take the pictures, and be out of there. So needless to say, it was not a good day for her. All because she wanted to be very special. What I recommend strongly is before you start the ceremony, go on out and again that lavalier mic, the DJ will adjust it as you're speaking because some of them are really, really loud. So he'll adjust it, go on out, introduce yourself. I'm Justice Arthur Tatro from the town of Spencer. I'll be officiating at the ceremony today. And if there's anything special about their ceremonies, let them know. Ask everyone to shut off all cell phones and pages. Brides and grooms really appreciate that. So does the DJ, so does the photographer, so do the other guests. Shut off all cell phones and pages. I do not allow drinking during a ceremony. It is a solemnization of a marriage. I'm not talking water if it's hot. But we did have one bride. We usually get very good reviews on Wedding Wire, and I'll go into Wedding Wire a little bit later on too. And she gave us a 4.6 because it would not allow drinking. People were pulling in a cooler of Budweiser and sitting there during the ceremony and popping the Budweiser. And I said, oh no, it's fine, go ahead. I said, absolutely not. So she gave us a 4.6 because we would not allow people to drink. If you don't mind, that's up to you. But it is a solemnization of a ceremony. It's very, very important to us. Also, your reputation, which should be very, very important to you. I usually ask him, does your DJ have a lapel mic? If he doesn't, there are other DJs that will rent them out. But it's really important. It does make a world of difference. Your life so much easier, and the ceremony so much nicer. The receiving line. Again, there's pros and cons to the receiving line. We recommend the receiving line, but just the bride and groom, a party A and party B in it, not the whole wedding party. We've all been to weddings before. You go on up there and the wedding party's lined up and the guests are there, hi, how are you, good, how are you? Nobody knows the other person. It's uncomfortable on both sides. So why take up that time? We explain to them that, again, it's our job to take as much pressure and stress. If I've just married you and you walk out and you're standing there and they walk right by you for drinks on a drink, just stay there. The people are initiating the conversation. You look beautiful, you look gorgeous, you're the luckiest person in the whole world. They're gone, they're hungry, and they want to have a drink. So they're not going to hang around. That gets that out of the way because wedding etiquette dictates that you greet every single one of your guests. Ideal way to do it. They're initiating the conversation. They're on their way to get something to drink, so it's not going to take a long time. If they wait until during the reception, go to the table. Usually it's when the guests are having a salad, so down goes the fork, the guests turn around. The bridal couple, they're going forward. They're making the first move. And usually the tables are only 2 or 3 feet apart, so when you give your spiel at the first table, the second table's already listening to you. You go to the first table and not Harriet's in the ladies' room, Uncle Harry's at the bar. You do your thing, you go to the next table. Cousin Muriel and Cousin Patty are at the bar. Go to the next table. By the time you get to the 4th or 5th or 6th table, you've got 15 or 20 people that you have to remember you didn't greet. Wedding etiquette dictates that you greet every single one of your guests. So you've got to remember who you didn't see, which is kind of impossible. You don't want them to say, I came all the way to their wedding, I got them this gift, and they never even bothered to come over and say thank you or anything. Or, they never said it. So that's why we recommend a receiving line. A lot of the photographers go, but a lot of photographers are thinking it's everybody. And they're also thinking it's a 45-minute ceremony or an hour ceremony. Our ceremonies average around 18 to 20 minutes, depending upon what the couple picks out. In that time frame, 15 to 18 minutes is ideal for both the couple and the guest. All of our options, like I say, there's over 167, 170 options. They're all a minute or a minute less. The only one exception is the rose ceremony, which is about a minute and a half or so, but everything else is a minute. So the couples can have a lot of different things in their ceremony and not need a 45-minute ceremony to do everything. We ask them, let us know if there's any changes in the ceremony. Like, we're meeting with couples now for October 2015. Someone want to get that? For 2015. So we're going to give them the packet to take home for a month. The reason we do it for a month, if we say you can have it for 6 months, they're going to forget everything we talked about and put the packet down aside. And then we have to start calling them. You get it back to us, get it back to us. So no matter when their wedding is, we give it to them for a month and return it to us. So if there's any changes, just give us a call and we can change everything. We confirm their email address again. We have a keepsake marriage certificate. In the books, here it is. On page 15. We have the maid of honor sign it, the best man sign it, the justice of the peace sign it.
Isn't it
Page 15. I'm on this one, the certificate. What I usually do is put the gold seal over here in the corner, and I have a seal from Frost Manufacturing that says, Justice of the Peace, Arthur Tatro, Commonwealth of Mass. I put that in there. And we include them. We give them a complete copy of their ceremony to keep, as well as this certificate in there. Another thing we do that might help you out tremendously is we take a picture of the couple when we meet with them. That consultation, because if you're meeting with them a year and a half before their wedding, good luck remembering what they look like when you go to the rehearsal. You know, even the venues will say, do you have a picture? Do you have a picture? Because nobody remembers. So we just say, this is a picture of your planning stage. So you have your wedding pictures, but you have your planning stage picture. So that works out great. It makes them happy. They're out there tickle pink, and you've got a picture of what they look like. Be prepared. The guys will probably be shaved for their wedding. The girls will probably have a different color hair, but you have a pretty good idea when you walk in. Because after a while, what we found is when we go to a rehearsal, someone's in the wedding party that we've already married or has been in 3 or 4 weddings before, so they all start to look familiar. This way here you can kind of determine who it is.
I had one similar to that, but the first wedding I ever did. His name was Jack, and her name was Marielle, until 30 seconds before the ceremony when she said, oh, by the way, my legal name is Mireille, and his name is Hako.
You didn't look at the license?
I didn't have the license until, so
Yeah.
it was interesting. And I had to ad-lib this whole thing with 26
Yeah, it could have been Jack and Jill either, could have. It had to be something else, yeah.
Hago and Mireille. I got through it though, but never again.
Page 16, this is to answer your question. This is why we ask them to get 2 to 3 copies of their marriage license. Usually the DMV, they cannot make photostatic copies. Nobody will accept photostatic copies of the marriage license. So you have to have the raised seal of the town. Usually you can go to the DMV and just show it to them. They'll change it right then and there. The insurance company, which should be one of the first things that they do, they'll just change it right then and there. Come time to go to Social Security, you're either going to take a day off from work, go in, take a ticket, sit there for a couple hours, or mail them in a copy. You'll always get it back. It could be 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, but you'll always get it back. So for that $7 or $8 that you paid, it's well worth it than taking off a day from work. The passport, if they were getting married next month and they just got their passport last month, they can change the name on their passport free of charge. If it's any longer than that, they have to get a whole new passport all over again. That was 60. Page 17.
Looks confusing, but this is how it looks when it's folded.
You go ahead. I'll take a drink of
So, and this is a card, and it's very similar to the same information on a certificate of marriage for the keepsake, but this is small to take on their honeymoon, and it's about the size of their passport, and it's just, you know, just to prove that they're legally married and everything. So, and I do this like on cardstock, so it's kind of adorable. It doesn't get ruined. So, but I know it looks funny the way it is in the packet, but it does fold up to, you know, 4 pages back. So, that's my card. Nicely done.
She's always taking all the glory like that, you know. Page number 18. This is just a reminder, the 6-week reminder. After I call, Eileen sends out the email just confirming everything, reminding them to bring their marriage license again. And I usually call them about 2 nights before the rehearsal and say, remember to bring your marriage license with you, as well as the balance due, whatever that may be. Did you have a question?
I do.
Go ahead.
I was just waiting for you to finish.
Yeah.
Say the couple is from out of state and they're going to be coming in for their ceremony just that morning. Should they send you the license through the mail ahead of time, or how should?
If that's the only option, yes. A lot of times what they'll do is, if they get their marriage license in Spencer, worst case scenario, I'll pick it up from the town clerk. I prefer that the couple pick it up themselves, because if there's any errors, I mean, we're all human, we all make mistakes. If the town clerk would inadvertently transpose the birth date, we'll say, you know, of the bride, I'm not going to know it. And once they give you the license, you cannot give them back the license. You've got the license, you officiated the ceremony, you complete the license, and you mail it back to the town clerk. After you record it in the book, I also make copies and everything. You send it back to the town clerk. She records it. She forwards it to Boston Bureau of Vital Statistics. They catch the error. They reject the license. They send it back. She usually ends up sending out another blank copy over to you. You got to complete it again, send it back to her, and she resubmits it back to Boston. So that's why when the couple pick up the license themselves, I ask them to take an extra minute and scrutinize it very, very carefully. If there's any changes, the town clerk can do it right then and there, no problem. Once it leaves there, it's more difficult.
So, just for my benefit, because I have a wedding coming up and a couple are from out of state, and they'll be coming in that day. So I should ask them to pick
Yes.
up the license, to verify the information, have them,
Yeah, if they're understanding that parents are in, the parents, of course, can pick it up. Or even the town clerk, if they want the town clerk, can mail it to them. I mean, if they're coming in from Oklahoma, they're not going to come in 3 days, 4 days early to pick up their license. You know, the town clerk can mail it to them, or a parent can pick it up.
but it's just important that I have that license in hand
Yes,
prior to the day of the,
yes. Yeah. Again, you cannot officiate at that ceremony unless you have physical custody. So don't take that chance.
and it
Always
can't
say.
be a copy, it has to be the.
Has to be the original, yes. Has to be the original license that they give you. Okay. The only time you can accept a copy of a license is when you're doing a wedding renewal. And I usually say, you know, we're going to the wedding renewal, I just ask them for a copy of their original license so that I can keep that on file, because I did a renewal. I don't want people to misinterpret that I'm marrying them. Which brings up another point. Someone asked me earlier too, when you do renewal, these people are already married, but nobody knows, and they don't want anybody to know. All you have to do is change a couple words in that, like at the end when you say, by the powers vested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I now pronounce you husband and wife. By the power of your own love, I now pronounce that you are husband and wife. Nobody catches on. Nobody knows. And they're not getting married twice. So that's the best thing to do on that. Okay? But I would recommend you getting the license, you know, as soon as possible before.
Just a follow-up question, earlier someone mentioned a 3-day waiver, can you explain what that is?
There is a 3-day waiver. It's usually for military, or it's kind of expensive now. It used to be like $25. Now I think it's around $200.
What is
I'm
it?
not positive. They can go to the court, and if they're, say one party was divorced, and the NICI period is 90 days. They plan this big wedding, and it's 87 days. They've got to go to the court before the magistrate and request a hearing, a waiver. They can give them that 3-day waiver, so they can get married earlier instead of waiting that 90 days. But also military coming in, if there's not enough time, they're very lenient with the military. But you still have to go through the proper procedures, and it still does cost some money.
Probate or district? Probate?
Probate. Actually,
Probate.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's probate, yeah. Another thing, which of course just went out of my mind, but I'll come back to it. Keep on asking questions, I'll get it. Page number 19. This is what we send the couples, thanking them for allowing us to play such a special role in a very special day. We'll confirm that you mailed the license back to the town that you got the license from. And they'll be able to pick it up usually 2 or 3 days.
We were finding that couples, like, were married in Sturbridge, and they lived in Worcester, and they'd say, well, we went to Worcester Town Hall, and we didn't get it. So now we always deliberately say what town the license went back to, and that's the only place that you can get it. Or they would call us and say, you know, just give us a copy of our license, and it's like, no, so.
And I do remember what I was going to say just a minute ago. You mentioned a 3-day waiting period. That's true, but it's really 4 days. The day that they apply for their license does not count as one of those 3 waiting days. So in our reality, if they go apply for it Monday, they can't pick it up to Thursday. Okay, remember, it's 4 days. The day that they apply for it does not count as one of the 3 waiting days.
Art,
Yes?
You don't give a copy of the marriage license after it's all over to the,
No.
you're gonna take the original and I'm gonna get it to the town clerk of the town that issued it. And I'm gonna make a copy for my own records.
Yes.
And then if they want a copy of it, they go to the town
Town
clerk.
clerk. They say it has to have the raised seal of the town clerk on it for their copies. No one will accept photostatic copies. It's just more for our records than anything else.
And it actually is a law that you cannot provide them with that photocopy.
Yeah.
But some people, you know, they're going on a honeymoon, and I don't have like the seal and all that kind of stuff. And anybody could go on and make a fake little.
Yeah, you have no control over that, but that's why we give them that small card that Eileen was just talking about that folds up.
That looks more authentic.
It
Because
is authentic.
they can get honeymoon privileges, like if they're
Right.
going, if they want, and the resorts that they may be going to, want to know that they
Right.
really just got married so that they can have.
So many people use
honeymoon suite
that, saying, we just got married, isn't that great? And all of a sudden, all these venues caught on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You know, 5,000 people get married the same weekend, something's wrong.
Exactly.
So what we usually do is we tell them to bring that small card with them, which, once it's folded, it's about the same size of a passport. Also take an extra invitation, wedding invitation, with you as proof. When you're going someplace, if they're going on a honeymoon, we always tell them, you know, you're flying off or doing something, do not change your name before you go on your honeymoon. You change it after you come back. If you're flying or on a cruise or something like that, your ID has to match. So they usually can't change it anyhow, but some people will try to change something. No, wait until after you come back, all your ID matches. Page 20. Probably one of the best little things that Eileen came up with to help me out. After you just pronounce the husband and wife, they're turning together. This is the order that everyone comes out together. The groom and the bride, the best man, the maid of honor, and then the name of the wedding party. So you say Jason, Kyle, come together, Kylie. Then the ring bearers, the John and Jenna, they just come together and walk out. A lot of times you won't have the same number of guys as you do girls. So one guy is going to walk out with two girls, and two girls are going to walk out with one guy. And I never had either party complain about doing that. But it's down here so you know, you got an odd number when you look over. You've got 3 girls over here and 5 guys over, something, you know, so you know who's going with who. And it also tells to have the, you know the bride and groom's parents' names and the grandparents' names, so you can have them to get together and just walk out.
I have a question.
Yes.
On this page 20, the grand party walking out, do you normally announce that, or would you do?
I do. Because this is right at the very end of the ceremony. So this is just information for me. This is all ceremony stuff. He takes care of the reception and everything, but this is all ceremony. So I just have them come together and walk out. And once they go on out, they start the receiving lines. I
He
drive
doesn't
it
say
down
this
there.
out loud to the people. He's just saying it to the wedding
Yeah, to the
party,
wedding
so
party,
they know
come
when to
together.
come and go out.
Yeah, I'm not introducing them,
Yeah.
just to have them come together and go out. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's good to ask questions.
I'm curious about same-sex marriages and the license, and I
Yeah.
read that they need to, the people being married need to show proof of residence, or can you address that?
I don't believe so. That would be more the town clerk's area of expertise. I know if you get the license, you're all set.
So,
But the little
Same sex,
restrictions and
same
everything
word.
that they
The
have.
law changed, originally it was that way, and originally you were not allowed to marry a couple who would not be legally married in their own states. That is now changed, and any couple, same-sex or otherwise, can be married in Massachusetts, and it's on your question.
been that way for a while.
Right, as long as you get the license from the town clerk,
Right.
you've got nothing to
That's
worry
the
about.
old information. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes.
Did you, did I miss it, or did you cover page 14?
I hope I did.
The whole ceremony?
That was the best.
Okay, page 14, this is mostly, we give the couple a complete copy of their ceremony, and this is on the front, and this is also in my book, so I know what's coming when it's coming. So I'll go up to the DJ or the photographer ahead of time, and I'll show this to them. So they know where to be, where the best thing is, where the best shot to take the pictures, and when to start the music and everything.
So this is just an agenda, could you say a little bit
Yeah,
about
it
the
is.
actual
It's just an
ceremony?
outline of the ceremony itself.
Could you say something about the actual ceremony?
We don't have an actual ceremony in here.
Sorry?
But we don't have an actual ceremony in here. This is like a fictitious lineup of a ceremony.
Okay, so today you're not gonna go over what should be included in the ceremony?
There's three basic requirements: that they get a license, they get you have it in hand, that both of them pronounce of their own free will that they want to be married, which is their vows. And then what I usually say, I have to say either one of three things: by the powers vested in me, either by the governor or the Commonwealth or the state of Massachusetts, that I now pronounce you husband and wife. Those are three elements that are extremely important. Most couples pick the Commonwealth of Mass because it just sounds a little classier. There's only three Commonwealths: Virginia, Kentucky, and Massachusetts, but there's a lot of states and there's a lot of governors. So it just kind of makes them a little unique and different.
And you could just say that I now pronounce you, by the powers vested in me, however, I now pronounce you married.
You can do that, yes. No?
Doesn't-
For a lot of the
nobody has to
same-sex
be a husband.
marriages, it's married, partners for life. Just discuss with the couple how they want to be presented. It's their wedding. So let's say whatever they want them to say. Any other questions? There's got to be a couple. I know we covered a lot of things, and I know it's confusing for you. Just imagine how confusing it is for the couples getting married with everything on their mind. But again, this is how we do it. Does not mean it's right for you to do it. You do it however works for you, whatever's the best. The more you put into the ceremony, the more you put in to the couple, the more you put in for the preparation, the more you help out the vendors, the more you help out the venues. It just comes back hundredfold. Yes?
Do you have some suggestions for resources for finding ceremonies and putting those types of things together?
I'm sorry.
I'd be happy to, the one thing that there is an abundance
I'm
of.
sorry, I can't.
I'm sorry. The one thing that you have an abundance of online, fortunately, is sample ceremonies, sample vows, readings, religious vows, contemporary vows. What you need to do is when I first started, I created really kind of generic things. All of mine are online. I keep, well, on my laptop. But I created, I found different addresses, welcomes, vows, readings. And then, but there is, believe me, if you talk to some brides, they come to you with binder loads of stuff that they've collected. But if you just go onto the internet and say, got any good wedding vows, it will pull up pages and pages of stuff. So there's a wealth of information out there. But that's what you do, you create a book of business for yourself. And that is your proprietary knowledge. That's what separates each of us from each other. All of us creates a book of business. And that's our, Art does custom weddings. I create custom weddings. We all do. And it's through experience and sharing among ourselves that we really build this book. There are some ceremonies online on the MJPA website. We do have sample vows online. In the MJPA handbook online on the PDF, there is a sample ceremony. There's a sample same-gender ceremony. There are some sample special ceremonies. But have fun. Go on out onto the net because there is just a boatload of information out there. And it doesn't take too long to start building this, but create documents online, put them in separate categories, and then start building and collecting them. Because the bigger your book of business, the more varied your ceremonies will be. Okay? But look at the sample ones in the handbook,
Yeah, I did.
and then contact any of us if you have any questions about specific ones. And some people ask for some really weird, that's just.
The more you have to offer the couple, the better off it is. And doing one really good wedding is like handing out 100 business cards. Believe me, I don't think, we haven't been to a wedding where people come up afterwards and ask for the business cards. You do it just comes back to help you. So by all means, give everything you possibly can. One question I'm surprised nobody asked is how much do you charge?
How much do you find?
I knew that was going to come up eventually. Like I say, everyone's different. It all depends. How much is your time worth? Is it worth $5 an hour? If it's worth $25 an hour, is it worth $50 an hour? All of us are different. Again, we're kind of unique because there's two of us doing everything all the time. When we do a wedding, it's both of us there. When we do a consultation, it's both of us there. When we do a rehearsal consultation, it's both of us there. So we put in about 6 to 7, sometimes 8 hours. It all depends how needy the bride is on it. And again, we package all of ours together. The consultation, the rehearsal, and the wedding. So in Spencer, that's usually we charge $300. Out here, it's usually $350, $375, depending. That's not exorbitant. Like Lucian said before, we're cheaper than the cupcakes that they're going to have to get for their wedding. I don't like to use the word cheaper, I should rephrase that. More reasonable.
Less expensive.
Less expensive, more reasonable than anything else that they have to contend with their wedding. And I think if you go with that, and remember, it's not how much do you charge, it's what you have to offer. I think then again, you're in a much better position. Yes?
I agree with you, Art, that sometimes people get carried away with the reception and the party and how much they're putting into that. And that they think of the marriage ceremony as just...
Yeah, getting ready for the party.
Exactly. And I try very hard when I'm meeting with people to stress that regardless of if their cake doesn't show up, and regardless of their flowers aren't the right color or whatever, that it's about you getting married. And you should really give that some serious thought. And like Art said, the more time that you spend with them and the more options you give them and give it some real relevance, it makes your time more valuable so that you are justified in charging for. And it still ends up being, like you said, the least expensive vendor that day.
It is. It is. And they appreciate every little thing you do. They really do. Some people just take it for granted and don't realize all the extras you do, and other people really appreciate the extras that they do.
Well, like you said, how much time behind the scenes and
right.
that go into the preparation.
It's not $300 for the 18 minutes. Wow, that's kind of expensive, $300 for 18 minutes. It's the 8 hours prior to that. It's the going back and forth, it's the holding hands, it's the walking through with everybody, it's calming them down, it's getting them to stop crying.
Counseling.
It's the best job in the whole world.
It is. Absolutely.
What's that?
Unless.
I'm sorry.
Here's a question in this wonderful age of technology. And we're people, person to person. The thing I'm finding most frustrating, and tell me if you have a solution to this problem, you get requests by email. And the first thing is, hi, I'm getting married, do you have this date available? Wonderful. Second question, how much do you charge? So you simply write them back and congratulations, it's wonderful, thank you for contacting me. I do have the date available. My fee is based, and we give the general, if it's within Long Meadow or wherever we reside, it's this much, if it's outside. I feel it's best when we speak, either on the phone, and they're like, no, we just want to know how much you charge. And it's so frustrating because, as we're talking right now, sometimes that charge directly correlates to what are they getting, because we can all charge the same amount, but
What they're getting is different.
the quality is different, and we're all trying to do our best and be there for the couple. How do you combat
Well, Eileen usually emails back, and she's much more diplomatic than I am. But again, just by telling them, that shouldn't be the first question. And this is a personal thing. They want to interview you,
Yeah,
but you also want to interview them.
of course.
And that kind of makes them go, what? Well, if we're not compatible, it's not going to be good for us and it's not going to be good for you. So I'd like to talk to you, get to know you a little bit. You can't tell from over the internet. You can't tell from reading.
And it's so hard, you be very diplomatic at the same time warm and receiving, and I do say at the very end, you know, by talking on the phone, you get to hear my personality and my voice, because this is what you are going to hear on that day, which is so much more important than what the cost is. And I've only had one person write back to me going, well, if that's how you do your business, that we're not compatible. I was like, okay.
That's good.
That's what you
Good
want to
job.
know.
You're not supposed to get all the jobs. I mean,
Okay.
if you're a stonemason, you're not supposed to get every job in court.
You don't. You just do the best you
I
can
know.
and you please the people that you have.
It's really.
And it's their loss.
Yeah. It's just so,
It's cold.
it's,
It is.
but the thing is, they are the couple, they are in charge, and
It is their wedding, granted.
It is.
But I agree with you 100%. The tone and your voice when you talk to them and your mannerisms and if you have humor or whatever, that seals the deal 99 out of 100
that
times.
email is just not,
No.
it doesn't convey that at all.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yes.
Just talking about fees and what you charge, I sort of just kind of like feel out a couple. Like I did a wedding and unfortunately they had to move their wedding up because the groom's father was dying. So they had to like scale down the wedding that they wanted and it was quickly and everything. So I knew that they didn't have a lot of money because they wanted to make sure their father was there to see them get married on this important day. So I kind of like, I have a general fees that I have in my mind, but it's not cast in stone.
Absolutely.
I felt
not.
that like, it was so warm and loving that they were willing to cut back on their wedding, get married so that their father could be there. It was like, and I knew they didn't have a lot of money. I said, this is how much it will cost you for me to marry you. I gave him a big break. I had to. I would not be a good person if I didn't.
That's, you know what? It's not all about the money. We talked about money and stuff, but it's not all about the money. It's when you're standing there and you say, by the powers vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. That's what it's about. There's no law that says you couldn't do it for free.
Right.
There is a law you can't charge $1,000 to do it.
Right.
But there's nothing. We varied. I gave you, these are kind of guidelines on everything. It's up to you what you want to do. If circumstances like that and you feel bad for them and they're having a heart, by all means do whatever you feel is comfortable. And I admire you for that. I think it's very good. A lot of people just think, well, I got to charge the $300 or I got to charge the $375 or that's it. You don't. It's entirely up to you. It's their wedding, but you are the officiant. So, by all means. Yes, ma'am. Yep, you.
Can you tell again what is the three most important thing?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
The three most important thing of the license? What else you say?
Well, the license is really important. I can't do anything about that. That they profess in front of you that they're doing this of their own free will, which is their vows. And that you say, I now pronounce that you are husband and wife either by the powers vested in me by the governor or the Commonwealth or the state of Massachusetts, or you could say the governor of the Commonwealth. It has to be one of those three factors. Okay?
Everything else is window dressing.
Yeah, exactly.
But those three things have to be present.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
The license.
Last one.
Number one, it's licensed, their consent, basically, their vows in front of you as a witness. And then the pronouncement of some sort by the authority granted me by the Commonwealth or something of that nature has to be pronounced.
Mark, it doesn't specifically have to be exchanging vows. It's, do you wish to be married? Do you agree to be married? That's the consent.
Correct, it's consent of any sort, but
We have to declare, it's the I do part.
Exactly. Or I
And
will,
that's
or
99.99% of the vows. Yes.
I'd just like to say thank you to all of you who stayed all afternoon to do this, because I think for the newcomers, it was very helpful, and we appreciate your time.
You know, it's hard. We start out and nobody gives you a really, but the association is the only professional association.
It's great,
It's for
thank you.
education. That's what the association was about, to help. 800 number, you're getting a problem, you call up. You're stuck on the highway, you can't make it, you call up that 800 number. You got 502 justices that are going to bend over backwards to do everything they possibly can to help you. And we accepted that back too. If we're stuck, someone gives you a call, do as much as you can. But there is no, when we first started, no one said how to do this, or how to do that, or anything. So like I say, with this, it's taken 14 years to put this together. So don't expect to do it right away, but like Donna said, go on the internet, get something, but change it up a little bit, add a little something like you into it. You know, like recently one of our members has done a wine box ceremony. Any of you familiar with the wine box and love letter ceremony? It's a beautiful ceremony. I'm an incurable romantic, so this is the best job in the world for me. It's a box, and the couple take a bottle of wine and they place it in the box. And we have them each write a letter to each other, why they wanted to be married, what qualities the other one had that attracted it to them, how much they mean to each other. They seal that letter and put it in the box. And you either lock the box or hammer the nail down so it's sealed. And we tell them, look, on your 5th anniversary, open up the box, have the wine, and read the letter to each other. Or your 10th anniversary. Or if you're having a really, really rough time, the two of you sit down, drink the wine, go read the letters, and see if you can still say that. You know? And that's beautiful as far as I'm concerned. They're creating their own time capsule. Their own time capsule of their wedding and everything. So there's a lot of different things you can do. Use your imagination. There is no right, sometimes there is a wrong, but you got a lot of room to play with. Make up your own individual ceremony so you have something different to offer than the justice in the next town over, or this justice.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure, you can ask as many as you like.
I had a couple come to me, and they're like really gun shy. They want to get married, they don't want to be equal.
I don't want to be the center of the attention.
Center of attention, everything. And so I didn't know how to answer this, but she said, do we have to exchange rings?
No.
And I said, I'll find that out for you because I know I was coming to this meeting. So my question is, I know they have to exchange vows. Do they have to exchange rings?
No.
No, okay.
It's just, it's a nice touch. And I'll tell you, another thing I do that's something a little bit different. After they exchange their rings, they're holding hands, and I place my hand on top of theirs. And this is the only thing that I memorize, because you cannot memorize the ceremonies because every bride and groom changes it. And I just say I encourage you to take responsibility to grow, to be willing to change, to maintain your capacity for wonder, spontaneity, and humor, to remain pliable, warm, and sensitive. I encourage you to give freely, to show your real feelings, to save time for each other, no matter what demands are put on your day. And then I just take the hands off. Photographers love something on that idea because it's a different, unique wedding picture. It's not the run-of-the-mill. So incorporate something like that into yourself. Don't let the bride and groom change that. Just remember what you got. And another thing, you can do the same ceremony and be monotone and be the most boring ceremony in the world. You add emotion, you add feeling, inflection to the tone of your voice. That's what you want. It makes that couple feel special, and they are special. And it makes the parents feel really good. So.
I have a question about the hand tying ceremony.
The tying of the knot or the Celtic hand fasting?
But actually both. The hand tying actually, I was reading about it in one of the books that I have, and it says that you place one hand over each other, and it kind of confused me. Are they placing their hands over, both hands over each other's, or is it right to right, left to left, and it's tied?
There's two different ones. There's a Celtic hand fasting, and then there's the tying of the knot ceremony. The tying of the knot ceremony is kind of humorous. You ask them 6 questions. So you have the bride and groom, like this. They're facing each other. They're holding each other's hands. the officiant has the rope. And after every set of questions, which is 6 questions, you loop the rope over their hands. You're not actually tying the knot, but looping it over. That's another reason why that lavalier mic is so much better. If you were holding a handheld, you couldn't do it. That's why the lavalier, I strongly recommend it. When you tie it over, the first question is like, will you cause her pain? I may. You know, and they answer it, it adds a lot of levity. It's a humorous ceremony. And they keep on doing that 6 times.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that they looped it over the hand.
Loop it over, yeah, don't tie it.
Okay.
And that the Celtic hand fasting is, that's when they hold all 4 hands together. And we have a gold chain that we place on their hands.
Okay.
And that's a Celtic tradition. We also have an Anankara ceremony that goes back to the 17th century Gaelic, which is really different and really unique. And a lot of different wine ceremonies. You find the wine ceremonies are getting very, very popular now. Especially right at the beginning of the ceremony, because it kind of calms the bride and groom down.
Yeah, and I have a question about the lavalier mic that you've been talking about. What are you hooked up to?
It's wireless. It's about the size of a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
You either clip on your belt or in your pocket or in here, and then it just goes right on the road. That's it. You don't have a wire. You're not tracing everything.
And you have, does that have to be?
That's supplied by the DJ.
Oh, okay, so, the DJ sign.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right?
I have one that's portable that has my own little microphone jack.
Oh, really?
The little like the fanny pack type thing?
No, it's still lavalier. The microphone, if there's not a DJ there, if it's something real informal, but someplace where you still want to be able to project. So my microphone, you know, it's a battery pack type thing, speaker.
Yeah.
The speaker is just a small, you know, a handheld container. And you bring that yourself, and then you just use your lavalier, and you have your own microphone
Was
speaker.
that expensive?
No.
Where would you find something like that, at like Radio Shack, or would I want to go somewhere better?
There's a website, the audio links, I think.
That was years ago before we looked into it, but then we decided that that's really the DJ's job.
Yes,
You know,
but I mean, again.
But I mean, sometimes it's not a DJ.
If I'm gonna be up on Grafton Common, you know, by myself or whatever, but there's people standing around, and I can project pretty well too, as you can tell, but there's just time when there's traffic going by and so on and so forth, and you really wanna make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have the most.
To a wedding that people can't hear
Yeah.
what the couple being married. There's nothing
You
more
can have the most
frustrating.
beautiful ceremony in the world, but if the people in the back don't hear you, it's the
Yeah.
funny ceremony.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can get a lot of those different things, and then you can find, like I said, if you've had a different facility
Yeah.
where your microphone is compatible to the DJ's, but if the DJ has his own setup, it's always better because it's coming out of his speakers, through his system, and it's just, and something that he can monitor, like I said, you know, so if you're getting feedback or he needs to increase the volume and so on and so forth. But you can get your own, with your own little speaker and stuff, it won't cost you much, and it'll be a nice little investment, and you can bring it.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I did buy mine,
Well, Best Buy is a good idea, or even Staples.
but they have, like I said, it's just a nice little thing to be able to carry and, you know, throw it in even if you don't think you're gonna need it, and then you might find, guess what, let me run to my car,
Yeah.
and I can just plug it in, and you can, and mine, like I said, is by batteries.
Yeah.
You know, so I can put it any place. I can put it in the backyard, I can use it anywhere.
Yeah.
That's been a good investment.
Well, I thank you all for staying, for asking the questions. I hope we came up with just one thing that you didn't know before that you can use to make your life easier and to do a better ceremony. Thanks very much.
Thank you.